All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over 3 problems from your homework. This is for geometry. This is section 8.5 for your homework on page 308. We're going to be going over problem number 17, 19, and 23. Hopefully this helps out a little bit. So for page 308, number 17, it says find the values of W and Z. Well, if we look at this, we have a right triangle here, meaning that we have a 45 by 45 in the interior. So we know that W is going to be 160. W is equal to 160. So now, if we look, we have a 30-degree angle right here, meaning that this entire angle is 60 degrees. So I'm just going to redraw it for us. So we have a 60 by 30, and now this is 160 plus Z by 160. Remember, when we have a 30 by 60 by 90, okay, the shorter side, we can say, is just going to be X. And we know that the hypotenuse is twice the shortest leg, and the longer leg is going to be X root 3, right? So if I draw it again, so we have a 60 by 30, so it's going to be 2x, the shorter leg is x, and this is x root 3. If we use this diagram that we just drew in comparison to this diagram right here, well, x is 160, so now we have the value of 160 plus z is equal to x root 3, or 160 root 3. We have 160 plus z is equal to 160 root 3. Now to solve for it, we get 160 root 3 minus 160 is going to be equal to z. When you plug in 160 root 3, let's do that right now, 160 root 3 in your calculator, you get about 277. So we subtract 160 from that, and we get that z is equal to about 117. For page 308, number 19, says the grade of a road is 7%. What angle does the road make with the horizontal? So the grade, and this is going from an example done in your textbook, it says that the grade of a road is the ratio of its rise to its run and is usually given as a decimal or percent. So if we know that the grade is 7%, so we know the grade is 7%, then we can write 7% as a decimal being 0.07. So now all we need to do is we say, okay, we have tan of some degree x is going to be equal to 0.07. Now, just like we do with other operations, we have an inverse for tan. So to get rid of the tan, we have to take the tan inverse of now 0.07. So x is going to be equal to whatever the inverse of tan for 0.07 is. When we type it in, we type in tan inverse 0.07, and we get about 4. We get about 4 degrees. Now lastly, page 308, number 23, it says the shorter diagonal of a rhombus with a 70-degree angle is 122 centimeters long. How long to the nearest centimeter is the longer diagonal? So we always want to draw a picture with this one. This is really going to help. Oh, sorry. Okay, stop. So it says that we have a rhombus with a 70-degree angle. So that means that this is going to be 70 degrees. This is going to be 70 degrees. Meaning we have 110 over here and 110 over here. Let's think about properties of a rhombus. All sides are equilateral, and their diagonals are perpendicular. So we have perpendicular. So now we can just create a smaller triangle and fill in some of the values that we know. Well, it says that the diagonal of the shorter, or the shorter diagonal has 122 centimeters to it, right? So if we look, we have 110 by 110. That's going to be our shorter diagonal. If it's bigger angle, shorter diagonal. Smaller angle, bigger diagonal. So I'm just going to redraw it over here to our left. So we're going to have something that looks like this. We have a right angle here. It was 110 degrees, but now we're going to cut in half because we're only using half of it. So it's a 55. And now we can change that 70 to a 35. Let's fill in the information that we know. Well, we know that this is the shorter diagonal, and that has a value of 122. So if we cut in half, because we're only working with this section of it, we get a 61. And we want to find this value right there. All right, let me change colors with that. We want to find x right there. So we can just go forward and try and solve it using our tan operation. So we can either use 55 or 35. I'm just going to use 35. Why not? So I'm going to use 35. So it's going to be tan of 35. Actually, again, let me change colors. Tan of 35 is going to be equal, remember, to the opposite over adjacent. The opposite we wrote is 61 over the adjacent, which is x. So now we can just do a little flip-flop. So we end up getting x is equal to 61 over the tan 35. So we get that x when we plug it in. Let me punch it in real quick. Tan of 35. We get about 87.1. Remember, this x is only for half of it. So this x right here, this value of x that we just found, which is here, is only for this piece. We need now to double it to get the remaining piece of it. So we do 87.1 times 2. So that we get the diagonal being 174.2, but it says to round to the nearest centimeter. So it's going to be about 174 centimeters. Hopefully this helps. Please reach out if you have any questions. Great job, folks. You're doing so well. I'm so proud of you.